In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this from all this stuff right here. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new, I'm your host Nate Lowe, and at this point in the video we're lucky enough to have my pooch Rocco in the video. As you guys saw early on in the video, I'm going to take you in on the process of how I built my trolley system for my HVAC work truck. I'm going to show you guys quick what I'm using to make all this work, and then I'll post some links in the description down below for you to buy your own stuff. So first and foremost, you need to have some Uni-Strut channel. I just took this from the shop. We just got done with a big commercial job, so we had plenty left over. I'm going to use this as my main support, and then this is going to be the runner. I got all the 5/16 nuts and bolts laying behind me. I'm going to be using some carriage bolts to act as anchors to hold the bungee cord. I'll use these to tie off the bungee cord and then run another one through, and then that will anchor the system back in place when I'm done with it. More nuts and bolts, washers. You're going to need some Unistrut trolleys. I found these on Amazon. I believe they're $20 a piece. And then you'll need some heavy-duty Unistrut angle. I already went ahead and cut mine off and ground it smooth for the length that I need. For my bungee system, I'm going to use some marine grade 125% extension shock cord. Pair these up with the carabiner. I'm going to be using an angler's loop or an angler's knot to tie this off to the carabiner. Then I'll be using hog rings with the hog ring pliers to squeeze the knot even tighter. And then when it's all said and done, I'm going to be using some 3/4 inch shrink tube with an adhesive inside of it to hold everything together. Now the angle bracket here will get bolted onto each of the supports on the side of the toolbox. Then I'll be bolting the big Unistrut to the bottom of the angle bracket like you see here. Then I'll be taking the Unistrut trolley system, bolting it to the smaller Unistrut like you see here, and then the small one will slide in and out of the big one with stops in there to make it so that it can't come out or go back too far. So now that you guys got the rundown on how I'm doing everything, I'm just gonna go ahead and time loop the rest of this stuff, and then I'll be sure to give you a breakdown of what I come across, any pointers. If at any point in time you guys have any questions on how I did something, please drop a comment down in the comment section below. To keep tabs on me and Rocco completing the rest of this truck, make sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you'll get a notification every time I upload a new video. But for now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So here's the finished product. I recommend using a heat gun, not a lighter. I forgot to grab the heat gun from the shop and had to make do with what I had here. So this will hook around my eye bolt, and then I will lock it shut. And this will be one end of my retraction system to retract the trolley back to the front of the truck. Now that the one is done, I'm gonna have to feed the other end through the end of the trolley once I get it built, and then I'll replicate this exact same thing once I get my desired length, and then hook it into the other side of the trolley. For starters, I have to take the main bolt out of this, which attaches it to the roof. I'm not too worried about it because if you've seen my other previous videos, I have that support underneath that is holding the whole shelf up. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that bolt out, and then I should be able to fit my angle up there. Once I drill 2 new holes through the angle into the support itself, those bolts will hold the rest of that up. That bolt there is the one I'm talking about. Another benefit of mocking this system up is I can see exactly where it needs to be. I have a mark here, and that's leveled across to the arm of my topper so that I know it'll clear there. So as long as my gliding rail is lower than that, I should be able to pull it out just fine. I got the brackets hung inside the topper, I'm going to start working on rigging up my anchors for the bungee cords. This is going to act as two things. What this will do is act as an anchor for the bungee cord, and it will also act as a stop for the trolley, and the trolley will stop against that. So what I'm thinking is I'll drill two separate holes staggered like this. So that's what it ended up like. I have the lock nut on the outside with some washers, and then I have a regular nut on the inside, and then there's nothing over here. It's just pulling the body of the eye bolt against the Uni-Strut channel. Now that I have both sides completed, I'll go ahead and get it mounted up on the brackets up in the topper, and then from there I'll be able to figure out where I want to place the trolleys on here, bolt the trolleys to this guy, and slide her in. You guys might be wondering why I'm drilling two holes in this thing when Uni-Strut itself has a million holes. The reason being is when I used the bolt with the washer and went through the hole and then test fit the trolley inside there, the framework of the trolley was hitting the head of the nut. So what I'm doing is drilling a tighter hole, and then I won't even have to use a washer, and then it cleared. So now the trolley goes all the way down. So now we got the two holes drilled. I'll go ahead and get them bolted up to the brackets, get them hanging, and then I'll see how everything looks. To hang these, we're going to be using a bolt going up through the Uni-Strut into the bracketry, and then I'm going to use a washer and a lock nut on top, just like I used over here hanging the brackets. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the trolley brackets mounted to the large piece of small Uni-Strut, and then we'll test fit that and see how that works. Now, one thing to note when you guys do this on yours is you cannot mount a trolley on each end of the small Uni-Strut, because once you pull that trolley system out of the big Uni-Strut, it will fall down. So what you're going to need to do is figure out what you're going to be hanging. Each one of these marks represents where an eye bolt will go. So this is going to be my last position. So that means I need to mount a Uni-Strut trolley here and a Uni-Strut trolley here. Now in doing so, this will act as the fulcrum, and there will be a lot of weight loading down upon that. The one thing I did to test it, I put this on the edge of a bench and I had him stand on it, and then I loaded up this entire thing with what I wanted on it, and it did sag about 1/2 of an inch. So one way to combat that is, if I do not like how much it sags over time, I can simply change this chunky Uni-Strut out for the thicker style. Another thing to note is I can always change the position of that trolley. Maybe I don't need to be back that far. I can bring the other one up a little bit closer. Maybe after a few days of working out of it and figuring out what works and what doesn't work, I'll change it. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and get the trolleys bolted onto the Uni-Strut, and then we'll test and see how well it works. So for this, I'm going to be using a 5/16 bolt. The 1/2 inch head of the 5/16 bolt fit right inside the trolley channel, so there's gonna be no play there. And then on the inside of the Uni-Strut, I slid a big washer in, and then the other two I was able to just pop on there. And then I'll be replacing the regular nut with a nylon locking nut. time to see if it works. Not sure if you guys can see that, but the trolley is hitting the arm of the topper window. Now I know this will clear, but I didn't factor this in. So I'll have to just take this off, slide it in a little bit, and then put it back in the desired holes. Bingo, so the trolley is definitely stopping and it's going to be hitting those eye bolts way at the end, so I don't have to worry about it hitting my window. So it won't even come close to hitting the window. Okay guys, after some creative thinking, I think I figured it out finally. What I want to do is place 2 eye bolts on this end as well. That will act as a stop for that front trolley, and it will also act as a guide for the bungee cord. Now what I mean by that is this will hook at the front, and then I will have to feed this end through over here, and then down through this eye bolt, back up through the other eye bolt, and then replicate the same knot that I had here. Hook my carabiner on it, do all my fancy dancy stuff here, hook it at the other eye bolt on the other side way down there, and then when I pull on this eye bolt here to pull it all out, the bungee will be running through that guide, down through here, all the way to the back, and then when I'm done, I'll simply just let it suck itself back in. And remember, it will not go through the window because it will stop and hit those 2 eye bolts down there. So bear with me here, I'll time loop this and enjoy it. So here's what it turned out as. Now I'm going to go up front and hook this around, and then I will loop it all around through, and then go over there and tie a new knot on and replicate this. So as you guys saw, I had my wife climb in there and hold the knot while I was testing the elasticity of the bungee cord, and where I have it set to pretty good. I'm gonna tighten up just a little bit more, then I'll go ahead and knot up that carabiner and get everything done. Bungee cord and carabiners are in place. Seems to work pretty good, you guys. Now what I think I'm gonna do is go back to the shop and get some gauges, rig everything up the way I want, put some eye bolts in it, and then I'll show you guys what that looks like as well. Now that I got my 2 sets of cords, 2 sets of gauges, my expandable garden hose, and my field piece charging jacket on there, I think I'm done for the day. I'm finally complete with the project. It took about 4 to 5 hours to actually do it. However, a lot of that time was figuring out where to go with what and how to actually go on and proceed with this project. Now that I'm finished with the project, to reflect on it a little bit, I think I need to tighten the bungee cord up just a hair. At full extension, it is relatively hard to pull out, so that's why I only went with the 3/16 shock cord. However, as it sits right now, it can move just a little bit. If I were to ever take off really hard, I would worry about it going back. I would think that the bungee cord would suck it back right away. However, I don't want to damage the window. One little thing I might consider adding to this project is building a little 18 gauge bracket here. The end of the Uni-Strut is right in line with this. So if I were to take these nuts off these bolts, build a little bracket out of 18 gauge, fasten it back to this, when the topper window would shut, I would actually have a little stopper here so that the Uni-Strut couldn't come through and hit the window. A few other points to reflect on are in regards to the bags here. These drawstring bags are a hair too tall, so I'm gonna go on Amazon and see if I can't find some shorter drawstring bags. Each bag is only about 70% full, so I mean I could get a smaller drawstring bag like this. It would lift up off that cargo glide and be able to slide in and out a lot smoother. That goes for my field piece charging jacket as well as my expandable garden hose. Both of them are dragging right now and make it a little bit cumbersome. But other than that, I have nothing to complain about. I'm very happy with how it turned out. I'll go ahead and pull this thing out and let you guys see how well it works. So originally I thought I was going to put a handle on here, but I think this 1/2 inch eye bolt works pretty darn well. I can reach it relatively easy, pull it out, and then grab whatever I need to. So at full extension, there is quite a bit of resistance here, and that is a great thing to have, so that way it sucks back nice and tight. Now for the extension cords, I have wraps with grommets in them, and those are just eye bolts cut down, so it's just a hook. The Freon gauges, this one doesn't have any hoses on it yet, but those I'm just hooking into the Uni-Strut itself wherever it works. So these are with the gauges wrapped around it. And then here's my garden hose, which again it's too tall. And then my field piece charging jacket for cold weather refrigerant charging. As you guys can see, it tucks back nice and neat. Still leaving the space open for anything I need to haul, whether it's a tub of parts, maybe even a 6-foot ladder, whatever. So I hope you guys liked this video on my homemade Uni-Strut trolley system. The configuration you guys see here is subject to change, as I have not field tested it and let it speak for itself. As of now, on a Saturday night, I'm calling it good. I'm happy with it. If you guys liked this video and thought I was pretty creative with the making of this homemade trolley system, give me a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more creative video content like so, make sure you hit that subscribe button. In my next video on the truck, I'm going to be making some refrigerant tank storage. So be sure to stay tuned and check that out. And as always, have a good night, you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace. Oh, let's just make a trolley system out of Unistrut and bungee cord it so it retracts all the way back by itself.
You're so smart.
You can't tell me.
That's not cool.
It's cool. Can you get me out? Are you getting claustrophobic, honey?
Your butt's on camera.